Howdy EHRD 491 students. The purpose of this video is to help you get started and to give you some instruction on writing your research proposal that's due very soon. You're looking on the screen at a copy of the proposal guidelines, and I'll reduce those, and you can see that they're available to you in Module 12 of our class, along with a link where you will actually upload your proposal. So let's take a few moments and look at the guidelines themselves. Your proposal will be typed. It is going to be double-spaced, and I prefer it be written in Word because that's the program I use and will be using to grade your papers. The double-spaced typing and all of that is per APA. Notice also that you're going to be writing in future tense. Future tense means that you'll be speaking in terms of what you will be doing or what your participants will be doing. So you'll be using verbiage something like participants will respond to the blah 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 instrument. So again, that's future tense. Just FYI, when you do collect the data for this proposal during your internship and write your paper for Dr. Gundy, you will then write that research paper in past tense. So now you're writing in future tense, tell me what you will be doing, and then when you write the paper for her, it goes into past tense, just like your quantitative data analysis. You'll also be writing in third person, so that means that you will, or you should not use words like I, me, my, our, that. You refer to yourself as the author, the researcher, the intern, but you don't say I will be collecting data, ... All right. Another couple of things that you need to know also is that in the course of writing your paper, I do not allow you to do any quoting. So you will be gathering information from other sources in the introduction, and the introduction should only have materials in it that are paraphrased or summarized. Again, that means that you do actually reference those materials, but you just cannot directly quote from the materials themselves. All right. So let's start talking about the proposal itself. All of the items that you see on the left-hand margins are headings that you'll be having. For the most part, these headings will either be centered or left justified. The very first page of your document should be your abstract. The abstract is probably the last thing that you're going to write. So once you've written the whole proposal, then you'll come back and summarize what you're going to be doing in the proposal. The abstract again is on the very first page of the document. The term abstract is centered at the top of the page. Then you'll do a regular double space and start the abstract paragraph. So it is written in paragraph form, and that paragraph is the only paragraph in the whole document that does not have a paragraph indentation. So all of the lines in your abstract are actually left justified. 150 words, again, summary of what you're going to be doing. I'll again recommend that you write it last. Then, so the first thing that you're probably going to start writing is the introduction. The introduction is going to be starting on the second page of your document. So abstract is the first page. Abstract at the top of the page. Abstract is the only thing on that page of the document. Page 2, the term introduction is centered at the very top, then a regular double space, and you're going to have 5 to 7 paragraphs of background information. So this should be information that comes from journal articles, textbooks. You need to be very careful about using information that you get from things like the internet. Internet sources are not very good sources for research types of papers like you're writing for me. So use journal articles, books, limited information from the internet. In fact, probably the only thing that you're going to be wanting to get from the internet is any information about the company that you're going to be doing your internship and your research with. You can use the internet to get information from those sources. So again, it's about 5 to 7 paragraphs that gives the reader some background information about your topic. So whether you're talking about communication within the organization, whether you're talking about implementing some new training and development, programs, organizational development types of things. Your introduction will introduce the reader to the topic through this background information. For those of you that were in the face-to-face class with me, you'll recall that my suggestion is that your introduction kind of look like geometrically like an upside down triangle. So if you can think about or visualize an upside down triangle, the base is actually at the top of the page. So when you write your introduction, it's very broad to begin with, and then as you go from paragraphs like 1 and 2 to paragraphs 3 and 4, then you start narrowing the focus of the information so that that upside down triangle is the guideline for narrowing the focus of your review of literature. At the end of the introduction, you should be able to talk about what is the statement of the problem, what questions or problems are you trying to solve, why are you interested in this topic, what is the problem that needs to be looked at. So again, 5 to 7 paragraphs of reference material in your introduction. The next heading that is going to be centered is quantitative methodology. So after your introduction, you'll just do a regular double space, so no extra spaces, and the term or terms quantitative methodology are centered. Then you will do another regular double space, and then 3 sections in this order are participants, instrument, and procedures or procedure. In your participant section, you're going to be very specifically talking about who your participants will be, what criterion is there for their selection into the study itself. So it could be something to do with new employees. It could be something to do with employees that haven't received a certain training, and so you're going to be training them on something. How many employees are you going to have? How will you select them? Again, the best way to select them is randomly, but that may not necessarily be the best way for you. So you could use terms like volunteers, a convenient sample, but just be honest about how you select your subjects. So again, about 3 to 5 sentences about the subjects that will be participating in your study. So very much like what you wrote about in your quantitative data collection. The next section is instrument. So the term instrument is left justified, and then you'll start a whole new paragraph or write a paragraph about the instrument that you choose to use. So again, very much like your quantitative data collection, the name of the instrument, how many items does it have, how are they scored, what does it measure. While we're here, I'm going to reduce the this Word document, and I want to talk a little bit about Qualtrics. Qualtrics is where I would strongly suggest that you begin looking for data collection instruments. And my preference is that you don't build one on your own, but that you go to Qualtrics and look in the survey library. And you'll notice that Qualtrics does have a library, and it's got any number of categories, and we're just going to leave it at all. And here is the list of predetermined or pre-made surveys that it actually allows you to have access to. So some of them are certainly related to university types of things and student types of things. Recruiting is one. Lots of employee types of things. Our HR folks might want to look here. Again, I would really kind of suggest staying away from some of the satisfaction types of surveys. If you use them, maybe don't call it employee satisfaction, but organizational climate might be a better term for them. And again, I'm going to flip on down here. Here's some healthcare types of things, so some of you could possibly be involved with that. Toward the bottom are some other like business related types of things, and as I recall, down toward the bottom, way down at the bottom, are some web tech, maybe some technology management types of surveys. So if you want to use one of these, all you have to do is click on it, and then my only rule for that is that you make sure it does specifically identify the group that you're going to be working with. So there, in some of those surveys, there are brackets, and it says your company name, and I want you to fill in the blank with the name of the company. So that's what I would use, or start with at least, for trying to find an instrument. The last section in this quantitative methodology is our procedure section. It is a section that you did not write for the quantitative data collection project. The way I like to explain the procedure section is that it's like telling someone how to write a peanut butter and jelly, or make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you go to the shelf, get the bread, set the bread down on the counter, open up the bread, take out 2 slices, put it on the plate. So the procedure is how are you actually going to collect your data? How are you going to get subjects to participate, maybe with flyers, maybe you're going to send items out via email, particularly if you are using the Qualtrics survey. What I would strongly suggest is that you go back and look at, in both classes, whether you took the class face-to-face or online, you were exposed to a number of articles that we read and you took tests on. So go back and use some of the verbiage out of procedure sections that you see in those articles. The action research articles are really the ones that are probably the most usable for you for writing this proposal. So go back and pay particular attention to the procedure section in your action research articles. The next section that you're going to write is a qualitative methodology section. So qualitative methodology is going to be centered on the next line right after your procedure section. And what I require is that you suggest that you are going to use 2 of the 3 qualitative methods to collect data within your proposal. So depending on what you're going to be doing, you can either tell me you're going to go observe some behavior, you can tell me that you're going to go interview some people, or that you're going to go do a document analysis. So depending on the 2 that you select, you'll be writing 2 sections based on the 2 methods. If you tell me that you are going to observe, then you'll be sure and talk about who you're going to observe, where you're going to observe, what you're looking for, what notes are you going to take, how are you going to analyze them, so you can think about some of the verbiage that you saw in our qualitative section of our textbook, as well as the article that you read and were tested on. If you are going to interview individuals, who are you going to interview? How are you going to select them? Are you going to do individual interviews? Are you going to do focus groups? Are you going to do structured, semi-structured interviews? If you tell me that you're going to interview, notice that you do have to include 8 to 10 questions that you will be asking. Okay, so those can be in an appendix, or those can also be in this interview section. And then the last methodology that you might use is document analysis. What documents are you going to look at? Employee handbooks, the internet. Depending on what you're looking at, you could even be looking at minutes from meetings. You could be looking at newspaper articles about a specific phenomenon. So what items are you going to look at in terms of document analysis? So again, from a qualitative perspective, you have to suggest to me that you are going to use 2 of the 3 methods that you have available for collecting qualitative data. At the end of this paper, references will be the very last thing that you have. There is an exception to that, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the last section is for references. References start on a new page. You have to have 5 to 7 references for your entire project. Again, that should mostly be journal articles or textbooks. You can use very limited use of the internet websites. The references should be in APA format. The term references, again, starts on a different page. It is centered at the top of that page, and then your 5 to 7 references should follow that. The very last item that should be in this document is a copy of your instrument. So in the quantitative methodology section, you're talking about the instrument, but I do want you to include the instrument in your proposal. So if you use something from Qualtrics, you can actually download that into Word and just have it as the last couple of pages of the proposal. You also can, if you want to, put your interview questions at the end of the document. So sometimes people put the interview questions in the section. Other times they make it a separate appendix and put it at the end of the document. My last recommendation for you will be that if you're interested and you need to, contact me, and you're certainly welcome to come by and take a look at some of the proposals that students have turned in previous semesters. Because that is graded material, I cannot make those available to you online, but you can certainly come and look at them. Also, any questions that you have pertaining to anything related to you coming up with this proposal, feel free to email me or make an appointment to come by and see me, because I do want to help you out as much as possible.